There are several things in life that you would only attract with the right amount of self-confidence. Self-confidence serves as the platform upon which several other benefits in your life are built. And I dare say that all that you are or will become are commensurate to the degree of self-confidence that you have. In this video, I want to give you 7 tips on how to improve your self-confidence. If you're just listening to me for the very first time, I'm also you've been missing out on a whole lot. Well, not to worry, it's never too late. So welcome. And now is also a good time to ask you to click on the subscribe button if you still haven't. I'm waiting. All right, thank you. So let's get right into it. 7 tips to improving your self-confidence. Number 1, self-awareness. Yes, I must say self-awareness is where it all begins. It is impossible for you to build confidence in a self that you do not already know. So self-awareness involves taking simple stock. Take stock on exactly who you are, what you are, what exactly are your strengths, what exactly would you say, are the very things that make you who you are. What exactly would you say are your proclivities? What exactly are your idiosyncrasies? What exactly would you describe yourself to be? So self-awareness is exactly where it all begins. You need to know yourself well enough for you to be able to make the most of yourself. So it is impossible for you to improve a person that already doesn't have an identity, because an identity is where it all begins. So self-awareness helps us do like a SWOT analysis on a person, on this very individual, which in this case is you. So what exactly are your strengths and your weaknesses? These are the very questions that we need to ask. What exactly would you say? Now, if you were to ask me, exactly do I begin the self-awareness check? I would say you might want to start by asking people around you, then also taking stock of your life. What are the kind of compliments you've heard from people? What are the kind of self-improvement tips you've also heard from people? So what I would say is that look at all the feedbacks you've gotten from people and all of the points you've also gleaned from moments of self-introspection, and then be able to say, this is who I am. This is exactly what my strengths are. This is exactly what my weaknesses are. This is exactly who Olushola is, or in this case, whatever your name is. And that leads me to point number 2, which is focus on the strengths. I tell you this time and time again, nobody builds a football team on the weaknesses of that very team. This is extremely important. You must focus on the strengths. Every single person has areas that they are not so great at. However, you only become a better person by primarily focusing on the areas that you are fantastic at. Because what you should be projecting, like every other thing, or like every other person, like every other organization, are your strengths. You have to focus on your strengths. In as much as you can try to cover some of the weaknesses where need be, you are only as good many times as your strengths. Focus on your strengths. Look within. What exactly am I great at? What exactly do I do better than everyone around me? What exactly is it? So self-awareness helps you get to the point where you now then say, okay, I know my strengths. Now focus on your strengths. How can I strengthen my core even more? So find what it is you're great at, sharpen the rough edges, and project yourself to the world. That is a very strong way of improving your self-confidence. Number 3, take care of your body. Many a times, it will never matter to people what the content of a thing is if the container does not look appealing. Let me tell you the truth. Your body says a lot about you, and it in turn affects your self-confidence. Learn to take care of your body. From your diet to your dressing to how well you exercise. These things have been proven to have a say in the confidence level of a person. How exactly do you look at the moment? Let me tell you the truth. It's a commonly known thing, for example, that overweight people are less self-confident. And people who have spent so much time building their muscles at the gym, or rather staying fit, have definitely a higher tendency to be much more confident in themselves. It's in the same way, whenever you know that you look so nice and so good and dress so well to a party, for example, you usually want to walk around so much so everyone can see exactly what you're putting on, right? Well, these things, as simple and as easy as they look, affect your self-confidence dips. Some fat on your body has got to go. Truthfully, you need to learn to also invest more money into exactly how you look. how you look. Some people, for example, are just one antiperspirant away from being more appealing to people. Whether you like it or not, how you smell says a lot also about your self-confidence. You know these things. For example, you know that when you just get a new cologne, you want every single person around you to smell it, so you know that these things definitely affect or have a say in your confidence. So your diet plans, your exercise, your dressing, always look the part. It will not matter what you know. If people cannot see it in how you appear, they will definitely not pay mind to you. If you think powerfully, if you are powerful, you could as well just dress powerfully also. And this leads me to point 4. Learn to be in the right environment. Learn to be in the right environment. Always be in the right environment. Let me tell you the truth. As much as a person can affect his environment, your environment has a higher tendency to affect you than you can affect it, because your environment is made up of a larger number of people than just one. So many a times I've seen a lot of people with deflated, esteems, people who have a wrong or terrible estimation of themselves. I found out that many of them are usually people who have come from an environment that talks down on them. So it will not matter who you think you are. If your environment does not support your self-awareness claims, in no time, that light will dim. So you must ensure that you're around people who make you feel as good of yourself than you want to feel. This is very important. This is extremely important. This is very key, because your environment says a whole lot about you than you can imagine. So whenever you don't think so highly of yourself, when your environment says you are good, you're great, you're fantastic, definitely you adjust your expectation of yourself. However, in the same vein, if you feel like you are the best thing since sliced bread and your environment does not think so, you definitely will begin to second guess your abilities and your capabilities, and you begin to think that you are what your environment says you are. Well, in actual fact, many times these things affect your self-confidence. So be around people who spur you on. Be around people who do not talk down on you, but people who see the very amazing things in you that you ought to be seeing. And this leads me to point 5. Do not compare yourself to others. This is very important. Comparison, they say, is the thief of joy. This statement is truer than anything you can imagine. Listen, guys, many times we do not understand how great or how well we're doing until we begin to compare ourselves to other people. So many times I've found out, let me just give a very simple class scenario, for example. Has it ever happened to you at any given point in time that you scored an 8/10 in a particular test, and just as you were jubilant, they came to you and told you the 8/10 was the last in class, and it dims your joy for a bit? Well, I should be wondering, why exactly should that dim my joy if an 8/10 is such an excellent score and exactly gets me across the finish line? Now, in the same vein, have you ever happened to you that you got maybe a 5/10 in a particular test and you were so angry? And just as you were angry, they came to tell you that every other person failed and your 5/10 was the best score in the entire class, and you got so excited. So the question will be, what exactly is your motivation for self-improvement? Is it the failures of other people or the success of yourself? This changes everything. The moment you stop comparing yourself to other people and the moment you focus on your journey, you tend to see the brighter side to life, and you tend to last longer in your thoughts and your happiness and your self-confidence and any other thing. Am I doing great? Am I better than I was yesterday? This changes everything. It changes every single thing. The moment you understand that you are on a personal journey, the best I can see when I see people is not intimidation, but inspiration. That's great. So the only time I look at other people is either to compliment them or to learn from them. That changes everything. When you focus on yourself and your journey and understand the uniqueness of your journey to your story, it will help you improve your self-confidence. I am better than my yesterday, and that changes everything about me. That's enough to get me excited, and not the fact that someone else is better than me. And this leads me to number 6. Be assertive. Let me tell you something. In the school of self-confidence, there are no in-betweens. Your yes is either your yes or your no. And assertiveness many a times is very discernible. A person who is usually in between and indecisive will never have his decisions respected by other people. And I must add that the most important thing about assertiveness usually is knowing when to say no. It's easy to say yes to everything. It's easy to be a yes man. But being someone who knows how to say no and stand by it is usually something that sets you apart. You cannot say yes to every single thing and be seen as valuable. You cannot be found everywhere and be seen as something, beautiful enough to be treasured. So you need to learn to say no to things that you're not comfortable with. And this leads me to number 7, preparation. Preparation, I'll say, is the biggest hack when it comes to self-confidence. And I'll prove that to you in a bit. Imagine I called you and I said, come to me, guy. Come recite the 44 times table. You're definitely going to stutter a bit, right? Because it's not something you're used to. But imagine I called you up and I said, you know what? Come recite the 2 times table. You absolutely will jump up to me with so much boldness and confidence and come and recite it. What's the difference between someone who could not recite the 44 or 54 times table and the person who can recite the 2 times table? Tell me. Preparation. Preparation fuels your confidence. Nothing fuels your self-confidence more than preparation. The moment you've mastered an act so much, you become more confident about it. So here is my invitation to you to begin to spend so much time on doing the very things that you find super important. Know it well enough to be able to defend it on any given platform or occasion ever in the world. This is crucial and very important. Usually your level of self-confidence is tantamount to your level of preparation. When you find people who are fidgety, people who are timid, it's because they are not properly prepared. They're not properly prepared. So your level of preparation must be so contagious and seen to every single person. That way, it will be obvious and clear that you're a self-confident person. So yes, preparation is key. And that leads me to the end of the 7 points. And I really do hope that you will be putting all of these pieces side by side and putting them to practice. And it will be my utmost joy that you grow from that period or the period of timidity that you currently wallow in and you become a very self-confident person. If you really enjoyed this, why not click on the like button, and also do not forget to subscribe if you are yet to. And like I like to end every single one of my videos the way I love to. Ireo. See you in the next video.